Soldier daughter. One year, when all three sons were still in Cub Scouts, we went camping to a place that had a French and Indian war fort. This was terribly dull for the boys, who just wanted to whack stuff with sticks and run free. But a bonus was that at the park that weekend, there were Civil War enactments. There were multiple old tents strewn about with men dressed in Civil War uniforms doing the tasks that would have been done during that period. I popped into one tent with my boys, all with buzz cuts, all dressed head to toe in camo. It was their thing, everything camo. I learned about the dismal food ate during the Civil War and even got to eat some hardtack, which, from the taste of it, might have actually been from the period. Another tent had a doctor dressed as a doctor from the Civil War. He was explaining all types of surgery techniques. He had an array of tools. He talked about how so many deaths came about because of poor sanitation. He explained that eventually hairs, were boiled so that they could be made stiffer and used as thread for sutures. Many people had lost limbs to gangrene because nothing was sterile. He described all the field surgeries of the time. My oldest son got queasy and moved on, but his little brother moved in even closer, wide-eyed and eager. The show was over, and I moved on. There was another group of men. I walked over with my brood of crew-cutted camo boys and stood on the edge. A man dressed as a soldier came and stood next to me. He was smallish and scruffy. There was a quietness to him. You know, there were women in the Civil War too, he said, and he explained to me and the boys how they would dress like men so that they could fight for a cause they believed in, knowing that the penalty would be death if they were discovered. Then he gently asked me to follow him, which I did. It's what I do well, follow. He brought me toward his tent. There was a chest, and he took out a Civil War coat and hat, and he began to dress me, catching my long hair and tucking it into the hat. And he told me he had served in the military. It was his career. He had a daughter, he explained, as he lifted the coat across my back. She had followed him into the military. He slipped my arms into the coat. She was about my size. He now stood in front of me, and as he buttoned the coat, he told me about how she was serving in Iraq. She stepped on an IED. She lost some limbs. She had PTSD. He handed me the gun. He positioned it inside my palm, up along my arm and leaning on my shoulder. He had taught her to shoot. She would never stand, like I am standing now before him, a whole daughter, with three boys dressed in camo with buzz cuts. I had never been dressed by a man before. There was so much tenderness and loss, responsibility, care, and love. I was a soldier daughter, whole, complete, standing before a father, doing my best to be dutiful to his memory of how she was and what she might have been. Just one small moment of fleeting intimacy, two strangers allowing some love and humanity to flow between them, for no purpose, for no end. Later that evening, as the sun set, we sat on the wooden porch together of the camp store and ate ice cream. My boys flitted around, throwing rocks and hitting stuff with sticks. It was quiet except for the exuberant sound of boys.